Last night, more than 10,000 people came together peacefully in Pioneer Square to demand accountability and justice for police brutality following the murder of George Floyd. They took responsibility for keeping one another safe and for keeping our city safe as well. And our police bureau continued to stand in solidarity with our peaceful demonstrators, often de-escalating violence and aiding with supplies and helping so that demonstrators could continue to demonstrate. Watching that gathering reminded me of how deeply proud I am to be the mayor of Portland.
All right, we're experiencing some technical difficulties here as Mayor Wheeler is addressing last night's demonstrations.
Again, a small minority of demonstrators provoked conflict and endangered lives. Late in the evening, I went to the incident command to be with the team who'd had an eagle's eye view of what was going on. I saw where the pockets of violence were occurring and how our police bureau was responding. It confirmed what I already knew about the minute-to-minute reports I've been getting over the last 5 nights, that our officers are doing everything they can within their power to respect and protect peaceful demonstrators. But they have another job, and that job is to make sure that lives are safe and public safety is protected. That's why we cannot tolerate violence. It's our duty to protect Portland, including the 10,000 people who showed up last night to make this city a more equitable and a more just place. You'll hear more from the police about the details of last night, so I want to close by addressing the substance of the demands from peaceful protesters who are working to hold their local government. I've said this before, and I'll say it again until I reach every single Portlander. Keep holding us accountable, all of us. I want to be held accountable. That is at the core of our democracy. And I want you to know that I continue to hold myself accountable as your mayor. But remember, while you're doing this, I am your ally. I believe in justice and reform, and I believe in our peaceful demonstrators and their calls for reform. Listening and acting. These are 2 things you're going to hear a lot from me, and you're seeing from me, from your electeds across the city, across the county, and indeed across the state. We are going to fight with everything we've got to help heal the generation of injustice inflicted on our black friends and neighbors. We will fight for reform and for reconciliation, and we know it won't happen in just a few days or a few weeks, but we can begin by taking meaningful action. I've been thinking a lot about what city leaders can do right now, and I've been out in the community talking to people, demonstrators, community leaders, activists, and others about what we can do right now. We will push for even more changes in state law this summer. Some bills are already in the works, like the one I support on making sure officers who are disciplined for wrongful behavior don't get off the hook. We'll also accelerate the conversation on taking a hard look at our specialty units within the Portland Police Bureau. We'll review how we're training our police officers to ensure their training aligns with the community's values. And we'll continue to hold the painful but necessary conversations we've begun with community about the history that brought us to this place and the solutions that will allow us to begin to heal. That's a start. And right now our black leaders are working with us in all levels of government to identify more actions that we can take. Change isn't just coming. It's finally here now. And in this moment in history, our children and our children's children will look upon the actions we took as a city with pride, because they will remember the moment and the movement that brought Portland together, and we collectively said, enough. Healing and reform begins right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Wheeler. Up next is Portland Police Bureau Chief Jamie Resch.
Good morning. We stand once again before you to share an update about demonstrations that happened in our city. Last night marked the 5th day of massive demonstrations and civil unrest. In the past several days, we have experienced a riot with unimaginable damage and destruction, peaceful demonstrations by several thousands who have collectively gathered to express their First Amendment rights, and groups in the hundreds who have continued to focus on police and engage in targeted acts of violence towards officers. Again, I want to recognize the thousands of demonstrators who came downtown in a peaceful manner and exercised their First Amendment rights. There are many thousands of you who are not involved in violence and destruction, and I thank you. I still hear your message, and I know those who are engaging in criminal acts do not represent you. Many others aggressively engaged in acts of violence directed at police overnight. Fireworks, bottles, ball bearings, and other projectiles were thrown at officers throughout the evening. After several hours of dispersal orders, some arrests were made, and the situation calmed down when the rest of the crowd dispersed. We have received a lot of questions about the police marking some vehicles during the event, and I want to share some information about that. For the past several days, we have observed vehicles in the crowd. Some of the occupants of the vehicles have been engaged in activity supplying weapons and other items to protesters. We have attempted to stop some of the vehicles in the past couple of days, and they have fled. This places protesters and police in extreme danger. We have employed a strategy to increase public safety to identify those vehicles involved in criminal activity. We have deployed stop sticks in some instances, and we have also used marking as a method so we can identify the vehicles to stop them at a later time. This seemed like the least intrusive way to accomplish our goal of life safety. There was an incident last night involving a pickup truck that reversed toward some of our officers, and thankfully no one was hurt. Every day is a different situation, and the events unfold at a rapid pace. I ask if protesters are planning to come downtown in the coming days to avoid bringing children, heed the sound truck warnings, and follow lawful orders. We are at a critical time in our city and in our nation. There are several questions we need to ask ourselves. What does the community as a whole want and expect from their police? How do we come together to stop the violence and destruction in our city so we can move forward to identify solutions that will work? How long can we, as a city, endure the extreme disregard for human life and property demonstrated by a small group of violent individuals? We have to collectively come together to prevent and stop those who are holding our city with violence. On a nightly basis, the following agencies have helped us, and again, I extend my extreme gratitude to the Vancouver Police Department, the Washougal Police Department, the Port of Portland, Gresham and Salem Police Departments, Washington County and Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, the Oregon State Police, and the National Guard. They are sacrificing their resources to keep Portlanders safer during these events. Every night, we have used all of our available resources, and all of our surrounding agencies have provided additional support, and it is still not enough. I ask for the community's help by taking a stand to say we do not condone violence in our city. These actions are not welcome. Any information about tips related to the incidents of those engaged in criminal acts are welcome. And I'd like to take a moment just to go ahead and address some questions I feel will already be asked. There are several videos from last night, and we have received many questions. And I will say this: every use of force by Portland Police Bureau members is documented and investigated. If any actions are found to be out of policy, those actions will be addressed. I will not let the actions of a few individuals intent on causing violence turn this focus on the Portland Police Bureau. A group of individuals broke away from a peaceful protest and marched blocks specifically to encounter PPB members at barricades. The Portland Police Bureau did not instigate the violence that began in our city last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Resch. Our next speaker at the microphone is Dr. Keisha Smith. She is the director of the City of Portland's Office of Equity and Human Rights. Dr. Smith.
Good morning, colleagues, friends, and community. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I can't breathe. I keep experiencing this phrase, the mental, emotional, psychological manifestation of what is normally a physical reaction to choking, loss of breath, struggling to fill one's lungs with air so that the exercise of inhaling and exhaling comfortably continues. I experience this phrase as a cry for help, a Black man or woman's last words, a plea to be released from the pressure, to no avail. Black folks in this country are suffocating, literally, as many have taken their last breath at the hands of police brutality, and metaphorically, as a community who is struggling under the weight of racism. The events that have transpired over the past few days and nights highlight the reality that the COVID-19 pandemic has not erased the reality that racism still exists. White supremacy and white supremacists are not following a stay-at-home order. Racism hasn't been quarantined. We don't have drive-through locations to test for racism. It simply shows up in overt and covert ways. And while we anxiously await a vaccination to protect against the coronavirus, we are not looking for a vaccination for racism because that would mean removing power and privilege, acknowledging the hate that people carry in the very fabric of their souls for Black folks. As protesters have organized in cities across this country, including right here in the city of Portland, it is painfully clear that Black folks are tired and that empty words and promises for justice and reform are no longer enough. The Black community is demanding action, and while the vast majority of the Black community would not condone violence and looting, the reality is that when over 400 years of oppression continue to play out in our communities, there is a tipping point. A little bit of education. Ironically, the origin of the word loot is Hindi. It found its way into the English language via the British Empire's centuries-long rampage of theft and bloodshed in India. So if you only talk about looting when people take stuff from stores and not when capitalism steals from workers every day, or imperialism destroys lives to grab resources, or settler colonialism violently oppresses whole groups for generations, then guess what? You're having the wrong conversation. We need to verbalize and acknowledge the fullness of the term anti-Blackness, the fear, devaluation, or abuse of Black people. And anti-Blackness is in full effect in our current context. And a moment of truth, Black folks can no longer be responsible for carrying the burden of white fragility, white guilt, trying to fix a system that was never designed for them in the first place, and simultaneously mourning the death and destruction happening in our communities. As a leader for the Office of Equity and Human Rights at the City of Portland, I am committed to continuing to engage in action both internally and externally. The Office of Equity and Human Rights has set a strong foundation for equity work in the City of Portland, and the city has voiced their commitment. In 2015, Council adopted the citywide racial equity goals and strategies. There's been support for Bureau racial equity plans. We have training for all city employees with our Racial Equity 101. We have connection to community through various advisory bodies and committees, and our recent response to COVID-19 efforts. But this is not enough. We have to take what is on paper and make it happen. And one single office within our city structure can't do this alone. There must be a collective acknowledgement of the pain and trauma the Black community is facing, and a collective commitment to working with the Black community to find actionable steps that are authentic and sustainable. I would offer that our city, and in fact our state, allow the space for Black folks to grieve, to feel the weariness, frustration, fear, and victimization that accompanies watching the treacherous balance of life and death play out across our news and media outlets, and that we get ready for what comes next, the removal of systems that were designed to exclude and the replacement of those systems with ones that are designed to empower. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We're going to now open it up for questions for reporters in-house here. We do have a microphone so people online can hear your questions as well. We want to start with, who has the first question? Okay. And can you tell us who you are and which organization you work for?
Yeah. Genevieve with K2, Genevieve Rayom. I have a question on behalf of my colleague, Lachey Wesley, for Mayor Wheeler.
Okay, Mayor Wheeler.
You touched on this earlier, but I want to go back to it. What actions specifically are you willing to take after meeting with demonstrators, and what reform do you think is necessary as police commissioner?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Just to repeat the question, I guess I don't need to repeat the question, it's going live. I'm not going to dictate the terms on behalf of the black community in terms of what reforms are necessary or what changes need to be made. My job right now as the mayor, as somebody who's representative of the power structure in this community, is somebody who has benefited from generational privilege because of the color of my skin. My job is to listen to the community. And in fact, I've had several opportunities in recent days. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to meet with another group of black leaders in our community. It was an intergenerational opportunity to hear from some folks who'd been on the front lines for justice literally for decades, and some very young people who are currently involved in the demonstrations here in Portland. And much of the conversation centered around what victory, what winning, if air quotes, looks like in this particular circumstance. And I committed that I remain flexible and open to their ideas, to their suggestions. We've put some on the table. We've agreed to improve the training. I have long said I would like to recruit more people from the community so that people see people in our police bureau who come from their own lived experiences and have a deeper understanding of their circumstances. I've made it clear that our training needs to continue to evolve, and it already has under the leadership of our last two police chiefs, but I want us to continue around de-escalation training, improved crowd management tactics, and hearing directly from members of the community in terms of their lived experience and their relationship with the police bureau and what they believe it will take to rebuild trust with the Portland Police Bureau. Of course, we've created more spaces for direct accountability and oversight and community engagement in our police bureau policies, like the Portland Committee on Community Engaged Policing. We've agreed that we need to accelerate the evaluation of our specific investigative units. That includes everything from the school resource officers, the gun violence reduction team, but we have other specialty units that deal with issues as diverse as child sex trafficking, domestic violence. All of our units should be evaluated. And I was really appreciative of Dr. Smith's comments this morning. And I thank you, Markeisha, for joining us today. Your voice was powerful and it's important in this conversation. I look forward to working with her and others in the community who aren't just focused narrowly on the question of police reform, but broader injustice. And if I can go on a tear for just a moment, while the focus right now, the immediate conversation is an important one around police accountability and the interactions of law enforcement with the black community, black men in particular. But let's not let this moment distract us from the broader injustices that are wrought on the black community each and every day in this nation and right here in Oregon and right here in the city of Portland. And I've talked about this in previous occasions, and I've heard black leaders in our community talk eloquently. If it comes to education, if it comes to access to health care, if it comes to statistics around interactions with the criminal justice system, when it comes to economic prosperity, when it comes to housing, when it comes to access to capital, in each and every one of those areas, the black community has been excluded. And You can't say that's an accident. It is institutional racism. And we have to see it, we have to acknowledge it, we have to own it, and then we have to take action. And what I'm hearing from the young demonstrators is they're tired of the discussion. And I get that. I have a sense of urgency and impatience that drives my style of leadership. But we need to get to the action steps, and we need to commit to it. And I think we need to be bolder. You know, Ron Herndon said something yesterday that really stuck with me. And I was thinking about it a lot in the last however many hours it's been since we met. I'm sorry, it may have been Mr. Tony Hobson from SEI. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said something very impressive, one of our distinguished black elders in the community. And he said, it's not just about finding a change, it's about finding the change. And the change has to be thought of broadly and holistically. And we need a broad plan, a bold plan, a community-centered plan, one that organically comes up from the community, that guides us in all of these areas to close the divide that still exists between the majority community and the black community in our city. And I'm 100% in. Enough talking. Let's get to the action. But I have to hear what the community demands, not me telling the community what's in their best interest. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you. And I want to echo off of what Dr. Smith was saying. And we saw this community, this country, mobilize really quickly around the coronavirus, around the pandemic, and make changes that were implemented immediately. You know, there's a call to make these changes immediately. How quickly can we see these changes take place in our city?
That's the value of demonstration and First Amendment rights, is it has this ability to speed things up. And you know, somebody said the other day that the extraordinary circumstance of this time is it's 1918 meets 1968 meets 2020. And that's a really interesting way to look at it. You know, I might actually say to you that our coronavirus responses nationally reflect the inequities that exist in our country. Look at who is disproportionately impacted in the first place by the pandemic itself. Well, it's people who live in smaller spaces with more people in urban areas. Those tend to be people of color and lower income people. So they started off with the disproportionate impact. Then look who got impacted first and the hardest by the economic fallout from COVID. And here in Portland, once again, it was our communities of color and our minority owned and operated businesses, and that's why our Economic Impact Task Force, which is working on the recovery, immediately started allocating resources to those businesses that were first hit and the hardest hit. And now when it comes to the response, whether it's access to the PPE, the testing, the resources, once again, I'm hearing some frustration from the black community about how those decisions are being allocated. And so my determination as I think about the response from COVID is it once again has elevated and exposed to the light of day in an unmistakable manner the inequities that exist in our society. And so the response has to create that opportunity for more intentional focus on those communities that were hit first and hit the hardest because of the pre-existing injustices in our society.
That's the last question I had for Mayor Wheeler.
While I'm up here, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Morning, Mayor. Dave Andrews,
Good morning.
WTV. I've got a question here on behalf of the newsroom. Early on, there was a lot of talk that people were causing trouble and damage were from out of town. Do you still believe that to be true?
I'm going to defer that question to the police chief. They collect those statistics, and yeah, there's a lot of chatter on the internet about who's engaged, but we actually collect that data, and so I'm going to rely on the data to guide my answer. Anything else for me before I step aside for the police chief? Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Rebecca from OPB.
It's good to see you.
Will you be returning
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Will you be returning to a curfew tonight?
No. The curfew, I did a little bit of soul searching in the middle of the night last night as to whether or not maintaining the curfew would have made any difference. I talked to a number of people. They came to the same conclusion I did. The curfew really didn't make any meaningful difference. And in fact, I would argue that in some cases, it may lead to some people being more highly motivated. When you put down a gauntlet, that can actually cause some people to say, I'm going to try and cross that line. As I looked back on this, I believe